In earlier builds of Hypnospace Outlaw, there was a strange page that was in there. No one knows where it came from or who developed it, but it was akin to famous old spooky pastas like YouTube user 666. They have kept this hidden away from any data or sources from exposing it. I, however, was one of the playtesters who saw a build with this. I was going about and around as you usually would throughout the game, and running into Zane and banning him, and your mom, and, the counselor Ronnie, and Granny Cream, and Pizza Dance, and all that stuff. It was all there. However, after exploring around for a bit, and getting into more dark aspects of the game, I eventually stumbled across a disturbing red and black page. It was akin to the type of quote-unquote disturbing imagery that you would see in the game with the heartbeats and stuff, but even more severe, cranked up a notch, even more hyper-realistic. And upon investigating this, it seemed to have been called Hypnospace Citizen 666 on page 666, who I thought this was maybe just a really over-the-top joke by the game. However, if I tried reporting absolutely anything on it, nothing would work. And the imagery kept on getting more and more severe, as if it was overtaking me, and as if I was an actual Hypnospace user myself, seeing this in person. There were strange vials of hyper-realistic blood, looking like it was fresh from the Flygon tongue, and hearts beating in that sake, and eventually I started to scroll down, and I could see other in-game characters stumble across this page. However, they were complaining that they couldn't get out, and it was as if the names were listed like an obituary of them. Zane was in here, and I could hear him pleading for help, and he was actually stuck in there. He was stuck in the page itself somehow, himself. And he was like, spoiler alert, your mom is a lame turd, and he was like, get me out of here, you butt nut, and I couldn't do anything to help him, and I felt so bad for him, and eventually I could hear Counselor Ronnie try to assist him, and he was like, Counselor Ronnie reporting for duty, and he tried assisting the fellow teenager in getting out there, the fellow high schooler, but upon doing so, he got gnarred up the butt, and he was like, whoa, I've been gnarred, and hyper-realistic blood started spewing out of Counselor Ronnie's eyes, and he started foaming it out too, and it was as if he was dying right before me. I couldn't believe this was in the game, and I had to vomit again and again and again. And I'm assuming this is why it took a bit for the butt beans to get into the final game instead of just being at the base release. And once I was looking around some more, the page began to change, and the pizza dance came up. However, the pizzas had red and black eyes, and hyper-realistic blood was bleeding off of them, and I felt so scared for them, and the bloody blood, and blood, and blood, and then someone tried to kill him. It was the Chowder Man, and he was like, I am the Chowder Man, and recruiting behind him were some squishers, which are really cool. Squishers are so much fun. Squishers, they set the mood. Squishers, they have a tune. Squishers, they play the lute. Squishers, they pee on loose. Squishers, collect them all. Squishers, squishers, and obviously the song was in the works, but they were there and they looked like how they did usually, and there was the funny wolf who got accused of being an untamed beast, and they tried helping it. However, they eventually got stuck, and the Chowder Man, his leg got ripped off, and he started singing and crying about it could have been good enough, and ain't no good guy or bad guy, only us, and it was such a mess, and I couldn't believe this was happening to the characters. I believe this was part of a scrapped end, and that they also had to change any guest star appearances as to not happen later. For somehow, almost as if it was modded, the game files started leaking in even higher, and somehow Fine Saw stuff got in there, and I could see Joel and Finny, and Joel was all like, what the fuck am I doing here? And Fred was with them, and, they were just kind of investigating, and Finny ended up there, and he was all like, what does this? And he was moving around and putting his head around. It was like a little weird virtual pet Finny that, was like the virtual pets in the game, and Joel started moving around like that, and he started pooping in everybody's faces and laughing, like, oh! And Finny couldn't take it anymore. He's like, "Da!" And he began to unleash the hidden forbidden thing. You see, not only was he accused of looking like a fraud freezer, but he began to unleash the ultimate white splooge, and he summoned the Granny Cream hot butter ice cream, and that started overwhelming and filling up the screen, and it was fighting against the red and black 666-ness of the page, and the blood started fusing in with the Granny Cream and created a hyper-realistic reddish pinkish substance that was all creamy and delicious and very healthy too, and nutritious, and it began to absorb into the Chowder Man and form him a new leg, and it removed the butt bean from Counselor Ronnie, and saying his eyes started to grow green, and together they blasted away the 666. And then after that, I got an email from the in-game moderator, Dylan, who started scolding me about going there and to never go there again. Eventually, the team that was developing the game took it away from me too, and I was not allowed to see it since, and they have kept this a secret. Nobody knows how this was done or where it came from, but they just knew they had to remove it from the final game and not let it leak out. I, however, anonymously report on this, for my life has forever changed since seeing it.